Hey guys, it's Surenio here, and in this video I plan to jump back into the Endfield trailer in order to analyze, theorize, and put some thoughts into some of the scenes I saw throughout the trailer, because there's definitely a lot of interesting stuff in there and a lot to digest. But if there's anything that piqued y'all's interest that I didn't point out or I may have missed, please do let me know. But with all that being said, let's just jump into it, and I hope you enjoyed the video.
Since you came, do provide your signature here.
So first things first, we see this text right here, which we can actually see in 3 areas in the main game. Amiya's class change dialogue, Logos' scriptures in chapter 11, and I believe Priestess's ID tag. And there was actually a guy in CN a few years back who tried to decode this text from Amiya's lines. And using that decoder, I tried to decode these 2 words myself, but what I got back was just a bunch of gibberish, what you see on screen right now. So either the decoder was wrong, Hypergryph decided to put, a whole bunch of nothing on there, or the 2 words derived from something Chinese and they decided to place it on there afterwards. But I don't know, who knows? But as of now, it's just gibberish.
An employment contract?
So here we see what's presumably Talos 2 with a giant typhoon and the planet in the back, which could potentially be Terra. It might be a bit of a reach to say that, but there is a theory to it that could hold weight, which we'll explore in a bit. And there's also an aircraft carrier right here, which is probably carrying the administrator, as we'll see in the next few scenes.
Contract with Endfield? Seraph Directive? Who ordered this?
So yeah, here we see the same aircraft, I think, crash landing, carrying a pod, which is how I believe we'll start the game. The administrator's probably in this pod, but who knows?
You did.
Here is what seems to be this game's Calcit, because we can't escape her. But is this actually Calcit? I highly doubt it. And without trying to get too much into spoilers, I did read up that this is some kind of possible Calcit clone that derives from the AMA project. But again, I wasn't trying to go too much into spoilers, and it's something that's going to get touched upon more in Lone Trail. So we'll see when we get there in Global in a couple of weeks. Another interesting thing is this flower right here, which I believe was used in an old concept art for Calcit. So it's pretty cool that they're using it here. I think that's just a nice little Easter egg, I guess. But yeah, it's pretty neat in my opinion.
Can you talk? The hub base is in dire.
So here's another shot of that planet I was talking about earlier. As you can see, there's a green haze right here, which could imply that that's like the only inhabitable area of this planet while the rest is dead. And you can also see another orbital body right here. So it's possible that Talos 2 and this planet right here are both of Terra's moons, and this right here is Terra. But who's to say, That's just a theory. There's no evidence or weight to hold it. And another thing to know is we can actually see an Originum cluster to the right here, which means that Originum does exist in Talos 2. It's possible it also has catastrophes, who knows? So it isn't exclusive to Terra in any way.
Straits. We've been attacked by the Angoloi, and we only managed to keep things from completely falling apart. Are these the Angoloi?
So the Agoloi are interesting because it's possible that their name derives from Agalos, which is another word for angel in Greek. Or it could also mean a messenger or envoy from God. You can also see that they have halos as well. So I think that means that Endfield might touch upon biblical references a bit, which is pretty cool to see. And especially since at the end of the first trailer, when we saw all those black rocks forming a structure in the sky, I've seen people point out that it might look like seraphim, which is the highest angel in the Christian hierarchy or something like that. Another thing, the halos are in a diamond shape, which is closely associated with Originum, which is something we're going to see a lot of throughout the trailer. But it's something to keep in mind.
Where did they come from? Angloi were already here when the first humans arrived at Talos 2. Compared to the humans, they seem to be more endemic to this planet.
So yeah, here they were saying that, you know, the Agaloid were already there. They were natives before the humans came. Interesting thing to point out here is that these aren't attacking these guys on the ground, which implies that they're probably tameable to some extent. And another interesting thing is their coloring. If you notice, they're
to the human,
kind of brown and black, like Originum rocks. So I don't think it's a stretch to say that, you know, the Agaloy are closely associated to Originum in some way, especially with the diamond halos. It's also a wonder if they're connected in some way or have some sort of hive mind, kind of like the Sancta, you know, with the halos and all that. This is just kind of a crack theory, but assuming that the first catastrophes formed elders to be born, I think it's really interesting that these Agaloy have animal traits. Like you can see some scorpions back here, and this is a bipedal. So it makes me wonder if the properties of Originum itself had anything to play in that role of elders being born or coming to be in Terra. But yeah, it's just something to think about as well. Probably means nothing, but we'll see.
this is the Blight. Or to put it in other words, this is how the Blight ruptures.
So here she's talking about the Blight, which is probably this purple stuff. We don't know anything about it, but, you know, it's there. Whether it's going to clash or exist alongside or Ripathy remains to be known, especially since they haven't mentioned infected at all. So we'll see how that plays out.
Into the world. Many fear you because your course of actions have them worried about their own fate. Some respect you because your ultimate goal is to ensure that civilization survives and thrives.
So those two lines are pretty interesting because it leads me to believe that
Fate.
we're gonna kind of be playing into a morally gray area in terms of ethics, where we do ensure the prosperity of humans and stuff like that, but it also comes at the cost of, you know, probably hurting others. But we'll see. Those are two very interesting choice of lines that they chose there. So here again we see an original cluster in the back and one right here in front, with the girl who seems to have a Hoyax hoops on her skirt. Is there any connection there? I don't know. Probably not, but it's funny to point out.
The rumbling Originium reactor is the heart of our civilization. The automated industry complex will be key to everything.
So there we have a shot of Perlika and Administrator. Something about the Originum reactor or whatever. Probably gonna be something really important.
With it, we will ultimately turn the tide.
So here we see this black rod thing with the red eye, which we actually see attack us later. Whether the Administrator is referring to this of the thing they planted or not remains to be seen. But it's an interesting device.
Thing? I planted it?
There's also this thing here, which looks to have a ribcage and arms. I don't know if y'all see that, which is really weird. I don't know if it's like some kind of staff or device. So here we have a really interesting shot. Here we can see the Rose Island landship crashed into, presumably, the Tower of Babel. You can see the similarities, kind of. And this is the Rose Island landship. People have pointed out the similarities. So what the hell is the Rose Island landship doing there? This is probably some kind of dream sequence or flashback or vision, which is probably the case because this is like a really bizarre shot. And as we're going to see later on, there's more shots that kind of look like this. But yeah, I think this is really interesting, and it goes to show that I don't think they're going to abandon, you know, any connections to the original story, which is really cool to see, in my opinion.
We can only press onward and ever onward until we reach.
Here we see a shot of Patriot, which actually surprised me the first time. So, what the heck is Patriot doing here? I think there's only two possible explanations for this. Either A, this is part of the same dream sequence that we see with the Rhodes Island ship crashed into the tower, which is supported by the fact that this still has all the same grayish tone that we saw earlier, and also the floating rocks. So it's possible that this is all like a vision. Or B, there was some infected that settled into Talos 2 that regarded Patriot as a beacon and decided to erect a statue in his honor of some sort or something like that. I personally think it's probably part of the same dream sequence, but we'll see, I guess, when the game comes out. So here we see a rock structure with a diamond, which again is really closely associated with Originum, with a whole bunch of brown and black rocks and all that. So it does lead me to believe that we'll probably touch upon the subject of the origins of Originum itself in Talos 2. And judging by the dialogue, it seems that the North Pole of the planet is really important. So are we going to find something there? Something related to the origins of Originum, where it comes from, how it's formed? Who knows? You know, that's the big mystery.
Point of this planet.
And here we have a shot of who could be a variety of people. This could either be the administrator. It could be, I don't think it's Perlica. We don't see her fluffy. This is probably Perlica's arm right here. Or it could be the administrators, who knows. Or it could also be Priestess in some way. Because it does look like it has her hair, right? It looks like Priestess's hair. And again, we see the diamond that we see associated with Originum. But it's broken. So there's something going on here. And it's going to be really interesting to see who this character is.
A place that may very well be the end of our journey.
So here we see this device again that the administrator was talking about planting. If they were referring to that, it seems like it could cast, arts or whatever the hell this is. So it doesn't seem we're going to fight it. For what reason it's attacking us, it's unknown. But it's possible that the doctor, or not the doctor, the administrator is suffering from a case of amnesia, just like the first game. But yeah, I guess that's something we'll find out. Another interesting thing to know is the administrator also has a diamond. So yeah, we see that diamond a lot. I might as well just throw this in here. It has been confirmed that this character's name is Chen, like Chen something, and that the sword she uses is Xixia, which means that this is more than likely a descendant of Chen, which is pretty cool to see. I really like that, we have a connection there to the main game, and again, that it isn't just, completely separated. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Just wanted to throw that in there. Here we see this structure, which we actually see in the main website and in the first trailer. So it could hold some important significance for some reason. But here it seems to have some sort of red rock formation coming out of it. So who knows what that is. Phoenix on the rise. So here's arguably the most interesting part of the trailer. I think Hypergryph deliberately set it up like this because it will definitely get people talking. Assuming Endfield takes place far in the future, why is Angelina here? So, in case y'all didn't know, Angelina actually had an altered data mind of her called Dimension Traveler Angelina or something of the sorts. Even a bit back before Scotty Alter got released, which is really interesting because it implies that in the future, she'll probably gain the ability to, hop through dimensions or stuff. And whether this is actually going to be an alter or not remains to be seen. But I'm sure that later on in Arknights, we'll probably get more into detail with this. And I also think it'll be funny if, and this is just me speculating, by the way, but I think it'll be funny if Angelina is actually our summoner of this game. Because I think it opens up the possibility of us actually getting characters from the original Arknights into Arknights Endfield canonically. Because, as you know, in the original game, we don't get characters as operators until they're canonically or officially on board Broad's Island. So if Hypergryph decides to stick to that rule in Endfield, I think Angelina's powers is going to be a good way to explain how we can actually grab characters from the original game into Enfield. Now, if it's literal time jumping or dimensional hopping, who knows? But I'm leaning more towards the latter because, her name is literally Dimensional Traveler. But also because if we treat this as one full timeline, continuous time, I do think that time hopping powers will screw with the timeline of the original Arknights. But yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility. If that's actually the case, if I know this in the head, you heard it here first. All right, just letting y'all know. I do think Angelina opens up the possibility of us getting characters from the original game into Enfield, just due to those dimensional powers, especially if we consider the theories that there's multiple dimensions, and in those multiple dimensions there's like multiple U's. We could kind of think of this as Angelina grabs characters from Dimension X, while meanwhile we're actually playing in Dimension Y in the original Arknights, and it doesn't really go deeper than that.
Speaking of which, how should I address you? Administrator? Oracle? Perhaps I can just call you the Doctor.
So here we get the Doctor name drop. Whether we're the original Doctor or not actually, remains to be seen. Personally, I don't think so. I feel like Hypergryph just, threw that in there because they know that the title Doctor, holds a close relation to us. But who knows? Maybe we are the original Doctor, and we just got amnesia again. Yeah, it's gonna be real interesting. I think it's just fan service, to be honest, but we'll see. And that is all for the video. As I mentioned in the beginning, if there's anything I might have missed, please do let me know in the comments below, as I would be interested to check those out. And if by any chance story content or side event stories and main chapter stories being streamed and read out loud interests you, I do plan on doing those. So if that piques your interest, do consider keeping an eye on the channel, and do leave a like and a subscribe if y'all so wish. It'll be hugely appreciated. But yeah, my name is Surenio, and I'll see you on the next one.